Someone manipulated you today, and you didn't even notice. Every single day, you're being influenced by dark psychology tactics designed to make you say yes when you mean no, to buy things you don't need, and to do favors you don't want to do. The scary part, these techniques are so subtle, most people never realize they're being manipulated until it's too late. I'm going to reveal 7 dark psychology tactics used on you constantly. And more importantly, I'll show you exactly how to defend yourself against each one. By the end of this video, you'll never be caught off guard again. Let's unlock the vault. Tactic number 1, the reciprocity trap. Here's how it works. Someone does you a small favor, completely unsolicited. Maybe a coworker brings you coffee, a salesperson offers you a free sample, a friend helps you move a box, and suddenly you feel obligated to return the favor, not because you want to, but because your brain is hardwired to balance the scales. This is the reciprocity principle, and manipulators weaponize it constantly. They'll give you something small and cheap. So you feel pressured to buy something big and expensive. The free sample at the grocery store, not generosity. It's psychological warfare. Studies show that when people receive an unexpected gift, they're up to 85% more likely to comply with a request immediately afterward, even if that request is completely unrelated to the gift. How to defend yourself. First, recognize that a gift isn't always a gift. If someone you barely know is suddenly generous, ask yourself, what do they want? Second, mentally separate the favor from any future request. Just because someone bought you coffee doesn't mean you owe them your time, your vote, or your money. And third, if you genuinely want to reciprocate, do it on your terms and your timeline, not when they demand it. Remember, real generosity comes with no strings attached. Everything else is manipulation. Tactic number 2, artificial scarcity. Only 3 left in stock. Offer ends tonight. Limited time only. Sound familiar? That's because scarcity is one of the most powerful psychological triggers in existence. When we think something is rare or running out, our brains go into panic mode. We stop thinking logically and start thinking emotionally. We don't want to miss out, so we buy now and regret later. Here's what's really happening in your brain. The fear of loss is psychologically more powerful than the desire for gain. Researchers have found that the pain of losing something is approximately twice as intense as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. So marketers create artificial urgency. Most of the time, the product isn't actually scarce. The sale isn't actually ending. They're just exploiting your fear of missing out. That countdown timer on the website, it resets for every visitor. Those only 2 rooms left on hotel sites, often exaggerated or completely fabricated. How to defend yourself. First, create a mandatory waiting period. If something is really limited, waiting 24 hours won't matter. If it's fake scarcity, the offer will still be there tomorrow. Second, ask yourself, do I actually need this, or am I just afraid of missing out? And third, call their bluff. Bookmark the page and check back in a week. You'll be shocked how many limited time offers are still running. Don't let manufactured urgency manipulate you into decisions you'll regret. Real value doesn't need fake deadlines. Tactic number 3, social proof manipulation. 5-star reviews, viral trends, everyone's doing it. These aren't just observations, they're psychological weapons. Humans are social creatures. We look to others to determine what's normal, what's safe, and what's worth our time. This is called social proof, and it can be completely fabricated. Here's the truth. In the digital age, social proof can be bought. Companies pay for fake reviews. Influencers buy followers. Political campaigns create fake grassroots movements. A study found that over 30% of online reviews are fraudulent, and yet 90% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Think about that. 1 in 3 reviews you're reading could be completely fake, but you're basing major decisions on them anyway. You see a restaurant with 4.8 stars and 500 reviews. You assume it must be good. But what if 200 of those reviews were paid for? What if negative reviews were buried or removed? You're not making an informed decision. You're being herded. How to defend yourself. First, don't just look at the star rating. Read the actual reviews. Fake reviews are often generic, overly positive, and use similar language. Second, check multiple sources. Don't trust just Amazon reviews or just Google reviews. Cross-reference. Third, be especially suspicious of unanimous praise. Real products have real flaws. If every review is 5 stars, something's wrong. And finally, remember, Popularity doesn't equal quality. Just because everyone's doing something doesn't mean it's right for you. Think for yourself. Question the consensus. That's how you avoid being manipulated. Tactic number 4, the foot in the door technique. This one's insidious. It starts small, harmless. Even someone asks you for a tiny favor. Sign this petition. Answer a quick survey. Donate just $1. You say yes because it's no big deal. But here's the trap. That small yes just opened the door to much bigger requests. This technique is based on commitment and consistency. Once you've said yes to something small, your brain wants to stay consistent with that identity. You become the person who helps, or the person who supports this cause. So when they come back with a bigger ask, you're much more likely to say yes again. Studies show this technique can increase compliance rates by up to 400% compared to asking for the big favor directly. Salespeople use this constantly. First, they get you to agree to a free consultation, then a small purchase, then the real sale. Charities use it too. First, they ask you to sign a petition, then attend an event, then volunteer, then donate monthly. Each step feels logical, but you're being led down a predetermined path. How to defend yourself? First, recognize the pattern. If someone starts with a small request, ask yourself, what are they really after? Second, judge each request independently. Don't let a past yes trap you into a future yes. You're allowed to change your mind. Third, be especially careful with identity-based requests. If someone says you're the kind of person who, that's often manipulation. And finally, practice saying no to small things. It's easier to establish boundaries early than to break free later. Your past decisions don't obligate your future. Remember that. Tactic number 5, the anchoring effect. Your brain is terrible at judging value, so it uses shortcuts. And one of the most powerful shortcuts is called anchoring. Whatever number you see first becomes your reference point for everything that follows. You walk into a store. You see a jacket marked $500, crossed out. Now only $200. Your brain doesn't think, is $200 reasonable for this jacket? It thinks, wow, I'm saving $300. You've been anchored to the higher price, and now everything else seems like a deal. But here's the truth. That jacket was probably never worth $500. The store inflated the price just to make the discount seem impressive. Research shows that even arbitrary numbers can influence your decisions. In one study, people who saw higher random numbers on a wheel were willing to pay significantly more for the same products afterward. That's how powerful anchoring is. It hijacks your perception of value. Restaurants use this too. They'll put one absurdly expensive item on the menu, not because they expect you to order it, but because it makes everything else look reasonable by comparison. Real estate agents show you overpriced houses first, so the house they actually want to sell seems like a bargain. How to defend yourself? First, always do independent research before making a purchase. What is the actual market value, not the inflated original price? Second, ignore the first number you see. Mentally reset. Ask yourself, what would I pay for this if I saw no other prices? Third, be especially careful with original price claims. If you never saw it selling at that price, it's probably fake. And finally, remember, a discount on something overpriced is not a deal. It's still overpriced. Don't let artificial anchors control your wallet. Tactic number 6, authority bias exploitation. We are taught from childhood to respect authority. Doctors, lawyers, scientists, experts, and that's generally good, until manipulators start pretending to be authorities to control your behavior. The famous Milgram experiment showed just how powerful authority is. People were willing to administer what they believed were dangerous electric shocks to others, simply because someone in a lab coat told them to. 65% of participants went all the way to the highest voltage, just because an authority figure said it was necessary. Now think about how this plays out today. Someone in a suit tells you to invest. Someone with a degree tells you to buy. Someone with a title tells you what to think. And you comply, not because the advice is good, but because your brain automatically defers to perceived authority. But here's the problem. Authority can be faked. Anyone can put expert in their bio. Anyone can buy a degree online. Anyone can wear a lab coat. How to defend yourself? First, verify credentials. Don't just accept someone's claims, look them up. Check their background. Second, ask critical questions. Real experts can explain their reasoning. Fake experts hide behind jargon and deflection. Third, remember that authority in one area doesn't mean authority in all areas. A doctor might be brilliant in medicine but clueless about investing. And finally, trust but verify. Even legitimate experts can be wrong. Always get a second opinion. Your brain might want to defer, but your critical thinking should stay engaged. Tactic number 7, the fear then relief pattern. This is probably the most emotionally manipulative tactic on this list. Here's how it works. Someone creates intense fear or anxiety in you and then immediately offers relief. You get a pop-up, your computer is infected with a virus, click here to fix it immediately. Fear, panic, then relief when you click and solve the problem. Except there was no virus, they created the fear to sell you the solution. Insurance companies do this constantly. What if you get sick? What if you have an accident? What if something terrible happens? Then they offer the relief, their policy. Political campaigns use it too. The country is in danger, crime is rising, the economy is collapsing. Then they offer themselves as the solution. When your brain is in fear mode, your critical thinking shuts down. You just want the pain to stop. So you accept whatever solution is offered without questioning it. How to defend yourself? First, recognize the pattern. When someone makes you afraid and then immediately offers a solution, that's manipulation. Second, take a breath, step away. Fear is designed to make you act immediately, resist that urge. Third, fact-check the threat. Is the danger real or manufactured? And finally, seek alternative solutions. Don't accept the first relief offered. There are usually better options when you're thinking clearly. Never make important decisions from a place of fear. That's when manipulation wins. So there you have it. 7 dark psychology tactics used on you every single day. The reciprocity trap, artificial scarcity, social proof manipulation, the foot-in-the-door technique, the anchoring effect, authority bias exploitation, and the fear then relief pattern. Now that you know these techniques, you'll start seeing them everywhere, and that awareness is your greatest defense. The goal isn't to become paranoid or distrustful. It's to think critically, to question, to make conscious decisions instead of being unconsciously manipulated. Which tactic surprised you the most? Have you noticed any of these being used on you recently? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if this video opened your eyes, make sure you're subscribed to MindBlowing Vault. We unlock the psychology behind everything every single week. The vault is open. Take back control.